how's it going, guys? This is a Schwinn Taft. This is initially a Walmart bike. Um, it's aluminum. It's aluminum as far as components for the frame, so it is lightweight. The frame is good itself. However, what the bike did lack was quality components. Instead of going out and buying like a Trek or a bike in that classification or category or price point, I had decided why not make it fun. I grew up riding bikes, that's all I ever did. And if it wasn't a pedal bike, it was motocross. However, it was never an MTB bike or any sort of geared bike. It was mostly BMX. I actually used to think the kids that rode these were nerds or whatever, back in the day, and I guess that's a child's mindset. It's a 29er. The wheels that came on it were garbage. The tires were some wannabes. They had some branding on them, but they definitely were probably generic. I think they came with WTB tires, but they weren't. They were subpar. In addition to that, it did have Shimano derailleurs on it, as well as a crank set. That was halfway decent. The cassette was a Chinese variation for the rear cassette. As a matter of fact, the retaining nut that went on there, the styling of the rim required a totally different tool from one you get in a standard kit or a bike. If you even brought it to a bike shop, and I'm no master bike guy by any means, but they wouldn't even have any idea what they were looking at, nor have the tool for it. They tell you they never seen it before, so that was insane. What I have done here is just reduced a lot of the weight. This was like a damn near a 40-pound bike, sub 40s, high end 30s, and I just a little bits and pieces here and there. I went with WTB wheels with the true center spoke system. They are running Presta valves. It is a 29er, if I hadn't mentioned that already. They came with Continental X-King tires. Those were purchased on Amazon. For my brakes, it did have mechanical discs, if you want to call them that. You could have hit the hooks on that thing and locked them up, and they would literally just squeal, make all sorts of noise, and not really do what they were intended to do, and as we know, that is to stop. I got rid of those. I'm running Shimano's. They are not mechanical anymore. I switched to hydraulic. They are phenomenal. The rotors came pre-warped, so factory, so those were garbage. It did have 180s front and rear, 180 mil rotors. Scratched both of those. Was gonna do 180s initially until I got my new fork, because the front fork was probably one of the crummiest things on the bike. It might as well have been a fixed fork. I mean, the suspension just wasn't there, and if you take that thing apart, it's just a crummy spring, okay? Like, it's terrible. You're gonna bottom out. I mean, you want to ride it on the street, pop a curb, that might beat you up a little bit, in some of the neighborhoods around here in the Midwest. You're gonna look to do some trails or anything mild / entry-level aggressive. No, it's not in the nature of the fork to do that. So I went with the RockShox 30. That does have, rebound and lockout controls on it. Phenomenal. The only problem is now, instead of using an adapter and the way that the caliper in the front mounts to the fork, you have to use a 160 for it to clear without an adapter. I don't want to run an adapter, so now I have a 160 up front, 180 mil out back. To match the WTB wheels, I did update the cassette to a Shimano as well. I got a carbon fiber seat post stem, which is off of a Cannondale. It's true carbon fiber. I put a new seat on it. I figure, it's one of the most comfortable things you need. I actually don't know the branding off of that. It was one off of my road bike that I purchased used. Phenomenal seat. I'll let you know what that is in a second. The only thing that hasn't been changed on this is the pedals. They're already aluminum BMX style pedals. The Shimano crankset, which it's a crankset. I mean, to me, unless I'm gonna upgrade it, I'm gonna do a 1x system, so I'm not even gonna mess with it right now. The grips are factory. The bars, I went with one of the fatter variation bars. I did cut them down, and then I'm running an Easton stem. For my gearing, I did the Shimano Quickfires. It had some sort of all-in-one system. I'm not necessarily certain what the technical term for it is other than that. I believe that because the brakes and the shifters were all one piece, that just had to go. I wasn't able to really get around that. There was no way, shape, or form. The bike is a sub 30 pound bike now. It's under 30 pounds. It rocks. It does really, really well at what it does. So I'm probably 900 to 1,000 into it, to be perfectly honest. Now you're gonna say, oh, why buy a Walmart bike and throw that much money into it, whatever. I'm gonna tell you what, it was just more of a hobbying thing to see if I could do it. I know Schwinn is not what it used to be, but when I was a kid, if you had a Schwinn or a GT or any of those bikes, that was the hot thing to have. I'm not saying I'm an old man, I'm 29, but that was the business. So I tricked it out. It was a hobby. It was fun to do, and I took something that was not meant to be a good trail rider, and I definitely have accomplished that. Just down to the bits. I got quick release, the QR hubs, both front and rear. Got it on my stem for my seat. Everything is easy to dial in on this bike. It was very easy to work on. So, just giving you a heads up, anybody wants to buy a Walmart bike as like a hobbying thing and you think you can't build something good, you can. Just watch out. There's some steel frames out there. They are garbage. And like I said, if you're looking for quality components, you better pay attention to things like your derailleurs, your crankset, brakes, things of that nature, rims, tire. Those are your main components, like stopping, comfort, the front fork, and just all around handling and control, smoothness. And that's the biggest thing I can say about this. This bike is smooth. It's like glass. So it can be done. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to help. This was just, like I said, this was a way of venting. This was fun. I'm a veteran. I came home with PTSD. Don't ride motocross anymore. I'm just getting older. I don't bounce as well. I'm not Superman. It took some years off of my life. So this is what I do. This is my hobby. Anybody has any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to help. Thanks.